welcome everyone. So my name is Chris Weatherly. I'm a Nuke product specialist for Foundry. I have two jobs very quickly. First thing is you might see these on your seats or knocking about. Feel free to scan this QR code for the chance to win 10,000 euros worth of prizes, such as, Foundry production collection, things like that. So some really great stuff there with just, quick click. And the more important job here is to introduce our speaker and try to get the name right, most importantly. So I'm introducing Jan Burda. Is that pronounced correctly? Perfect. And he is a lead compositor at Macrovision. Now, Macrovision is obviously an amazing company, Emmy Award winning for their work on Game of Thrones, but Jan himself actually a VES award winner, I believe. So some fantastic knowledge. He's had a wealth of experience in the industry, and with this talk, I'm really excited to just see some insights over your terms, what you've found working as a compositor for all this time, and what you think is valuable to share to everyone. So with that, I pass on to you, and Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. So thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pulling Your Rabbit Out of Nuke. Well, I'm honored to speak here in behalf of the Foundry and Macrovision. Macrovision is almost known from its work in car and automotive visualization. Macrovision is part of Accenture Interactive, and well, we have a team of about 70 VFX artists now in our VFX department. We've got Emmy winners among us, we got VS winners among us, we've got like a lot of international experienced people. Myself, I'm Jan Burda, and I'm working in visual effects professional like about 16 years. A big and very nice point in my career was winning the VS award for best environment in a broadcast, and it was very nice. And like it's at this point, I just want to say thank you to the Foundry. Not only that the Foundry making it possible for me to make a living out of a beautiful job, but it also make some dreams of mine getting true, like being petitioned with an O1 visa and getting to San Francisco, California to work at ILM. It was a beautiful experience, so thank you, Foundry. And with like compositing, it's just think about what kind of beautiful job we have as compositors. It's like we can work in the film industry, we can work artistically, we can work creative. We have the possibility to go to foreign countries, to beautiful cities like Vancouver, London, or even New Zealand. There aren't that much of jobs that make it possible. Well, and obviously sometimes we even know how a movie ends. I guess some of you here know who will stand in the end on the Iron Throne. Just guess what a really fanboy would give for this knowledge. Imagine compositing as a language. You start maybe as a toddler with a few words. Later on, you learn sentence. You can describe stories. You get more complicated, not complicated, but more better in your language. You can build huge scripts and you can manage it. And at some point, maybe, you will interest yourself for lyric and poems, and that's the point where in comp you maybe start designing the look, making this magic in the imagery. So regarding the language, what is for me the most important part, it's efficiency. Just imagine me standing here and I'm gonna talk about Nuke, and you almost feel the scan line slowly getting down. Now, be fast in your comp. Like, you have to have immediately updates. Like, think about you have a factor X of iterations to get your shot done. You're limited by render and update time. If you slow this update time. You get your shots faster back into dailies. You get your shots faster done, and you have more time to put these little cherries on top, like the part of our job that makes most of it fun. Like how to be more efficient. Like the most important part for me is pre-render, 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 pre-render. Like in a huge script, I've got maybe something like 60, 70 pre-renders. So my tactic to go with pre-renders is I have my keyframes, maybe the first, the last, and render these locally, or maybe somewhere in between. Then I swap the input to just have the read node. So I have already the possibility to work with the power of the pre-rendering and put the rest on the render farm. So I'm not limited when the render farm is finished. So it can be finished in maybe 5 minutes, 1 hour. I don't care because I already can work on a faster pace. I try to not use these nodes just somewhere in the middle of a huge script. I try to have these nodes directly in the beginning, and even pre-render my denoise, pre-render my grid warp. So I have immediately like an update. I can push the play button and I just get the results. I try to avoid point clouds or camera trackers in my Nuke script. Obviously, I need them at some point, but as I'm done, I bake maybe the camera and kick this one out. It makes like your Nuke script maybe grow up to 30, 40 MB instead of your standard Nuke script, maybe 1 megabyte. It's not that much, but imagine you saving and you're waiting only for 4 seconds. It's like, oh, come on. And then it's coming, the autosave, and it's, oh, come on. It's like someone stopping your thinking. Imagine if you get whether your pipeline is this or that, or maybe you get like matte paintings in TIFF. Matte painters love to do it in double size. They give it in TIFF. Nuke's not that good in TIFFs. Just pre-render them in EXRs, make a crop out of it. You don't have to push like 200 megabytes of a data of one TIFF into your script if it needs only maybe 2 or 3 megabytes. So, and with this, you get really, really much faster. The next, with language, think about grammar and be structured. And I don't mean that your node graph has to be perfectly like straight-lined and right-angled. No. I think already some of my colleagues are laughing because my comps look quite like a mess, but it's more thinking about this red line that goes through your comp. This one mainstream, you're putting stuff on top. Like remembering back the days when you've been in school, you had these overhead projectors. And the teacher was putting one layer on top, on top, on top, on top. And as Nuke is a node-based program, try to think in layers. That makes it much easier. And the part when the layers come into your red line stream, that's the part where you do your pre-renderings. Think about a strategy, how you're gonna tackle your shot. Do you have a director that always changes mind? Maybe the retiming is gonna be changed. Do I do the retime in the beginning, in the end? Do I do a deep comp, a 3D comp, just everything in one scanline render, or maybe in a lot of little scanline renders? Just think about the strategy. Then the next thing is, think from coarse to fine. If I have a shot and I know like the shading's not final, the animation is not final, then I don't give that much maybe of work into integrating it perfectly, doing the masks perfectly, because then you lose time because it will change in any way. I don't start my shot with the perfect grain, with the perfect chromatic aberration. These are stuff that come in the end. Just start your shot in blocking. Well, continuing with our language, it's listening. What I mean with listening, it's listen to real references. Take care how it looks in real life. Just get inspired yourself by maybe other movies that solve the same problem. Talk with your colleagues if maybe someone already finished this. So listen, you don't have to invent it all the time new. Just check what it was once. Like with this image, the reference was this one. And that makes it quite easier getting to your goal. Like with listening, maybe you can make a little cherry in your speech with quotations or just use elements. You don't have to use all the time a CGFX layer. You don't have to simulate everything. Just think about maybe shooting it. And even here, it makes so much fun shooting your own elements, and it makes you proud getting them in the end. So sometimes you can't shoot every element, but where we at Macavision are really happy that we got elements from Action VFX. They shoot them in 4K, and they have a really nice library. And we at Macavision are really convinced by these elements, so we want just to share this knowledge with you. And it's really a fun getting these into your Nuke script, and you save a bunch of time instead of using CGFX. Well, continuing with our language, it's the communication. It's talk to each other. Like the 3D guy, the rendering guy, he already had his thoughts about doing it the way he did. Talk to him, get him to your place. And don't talk just only via database, but try to get a face-to-face communication. Firstly, it shows that you value his work, and then you get more tips from him how to play with it. And what I really like is playing a kind of ping pong with the 3D guys. So I get a first rendering, and in comp, our render iterations are much faster than in 3D. You then can like raise the light, lower GI, push up reflections, and getting the 3D guy this information back. He just plugs it in into Max, Maya, Houdini, and gives you a new rendering. And like with this process going maybe back and forth for 2 or 3 times, it's maybe like with this pig. Regarding compositing, the final compositing, it was that much of interesting because this was the A over B. But the way getting there, that was the big fun. Well, with all this language and stuff I learned like in the career, I just got to a beautiful word I learned. It's called Bildglück. It's like you do something you never planned, and accidentally you get to a result you never experienced. And actually this is Bildglück, and that's the most part of fun in the job. And mostly it's like the simplicity in things that makes it really nice. Achieving Bildglück is you have to know what you do, you have to understand the stuff, and you have to respect the rules before you break them. And I think like every one of you knows this part, like a normal ST map, like the red pixels mapping the image horizontally, the green vertically. But have you ever think what you can do with fun stuff with this kind of thing? Just imagine, through a lens, you get this one. And the funny thing is like this reddish greenish stuff color, it reflects and refracts just within your lens, and just putting this image into an ST map makes some funny part in the interior of the lens. You see how the image behaves on the interior. And this is such a little cheap trick to maybe put a little salt and pepper into your easy telescope comp. And if you even get your lens dirty, as I'm doing, you have a lens dirt for free. But going back to digital, oh, sorry. Here is just a simple Nuke script. And now going back to digital, you can do fun stuff with STMap. You can like bake the texture on some flags, and then like putting this into an STMap, you just can change the texture in whatever you like. So you have just baked something like your simulation. And even this is just the Nuke script. You have your STMap, you have your logo, and then you have just asked the 3D guy for some random raw lighting where red is coming from one side, green from the other. And then you have already some nice flags to put in. So now for the next, it's meet Herbert. Christian Leitner, a great modeler in our team, just gave me Herbert. And Herbert will help me a little bit in the upcoming tricks. So as we have Herbert, like with the standard 3D rendering, we have normals, of course. Like in red, the normals are showing us the normals going to horizontally. In green, vertically, and in blue to the side. Looked a little bit like in the airplane. But have you ever tried pushing your normals into an ST map? Suddenly it looks like a little bit like a reflection. And it's easy as this. Have you ever tried pulling your normals into an eye distort? It looks a little bit like refraction. It's not 100% great or perfect, but it looks a little bit like that, and it's such easy like this. Well, let's take a look further. Have you ever tried pushing your normals into a PRIMATTE and just keying your normals with the normal BG color? It's a great relighting tool you can misuse PRIMATTE for, and it's as easy like this. You just key your point, obviously it's black, then you invert the alpha, and with the gamma down, you just make it harder. Well, let's take a look. What if the 3D guy has forgotten to render us normals, or your plate obviously doesn't have normals? Well, I could relight it with a mask, but doesn't look that nice. I could blur the mask, but no. But I could do this. Suddenly it looks interesting. It follows the structure. What have I done? It's like only this one. I just plugged my RGB into the forward channel of my roto and distorting my roto with the forward channel. It's a little bit like thinking the other way around. But with this and a little bit of Bildglück, you kind of get nice results. So a nice trick in getting your environment in, or maybe a little bit the color. The mostly part of CG renderings. It likes a little bit of this white color palette you have in your real imagery. So what you can do is pushing like this. It's only subtle, but you see suddenly he gets like this greenish tone from the bottom, bluish tone from the up, and it's only like this. I just blur the background very strong and then put it via soft light on top. Actually, I like to do this also on full CG renderings where they lack maybe some kind of this white, colorful, real imagery. I try to find an image, a photo that's a little bit in this like light palette of my full CG shot and put it over. It's only a few %, but it's doing a really nice, colorful palette. Well, being at colors, we can also separate LUMA and color, and it's like I just normally desaturate my image by 0, and I can get this one out. Okay, how did I do this? It's like only putting on saturation on 0 and then dividing with my color channel. It's like a little bit like with this GI dividing with diffuse and V-Ray setup. And the great stuff with this is you once can check like only your colors and not being irritated by the luminance. And you know this nasty little greenish fringes on some keys you just can't get away. By separating it this way, you then can maybe roto or key this little greenish tones and just put another color on top to just get rid of them. Wow, so much stuff. And now, something completely different, and it's, oh, sorry. No, here is like the script where you can change. And now to something completely different. It's motion blur. I think like every one of us knows this motion blur, but understanding motion blur is quite interesting. Like in the older days, in these analog days, there was one rotating disc, the shutter on top of our celluloid. And it was rotating in one speed, and then the next frame came in. And like here, you then know on the left, it's a 180-degree shutter because it was only lighting our celluloid for half of the time. So you know half of the time is visible, half of the time is not visible. Maybe on the right, we have a 90-degree shutter. This was like they used on Saving Private Ryan as they came up to the Normandy. And so we have 3/4 not being visible and 1/4 being visible. But it's a little bit too tacky, so let's see an image. We see in the upper part our motion blur of a little light. If I go to the next frame, I see it's over there. So you can then now see, okay, my visible part is as long as the non-visible part. So with this knowledge, it's quite good to check with which kind of shutter the DOP shot has shot, and also to check if your motion blur in your shot is correct. Because like normally, we always have a 180-degree shutter. Beep. Going further, like as we know motion blur, we know motion vectors. Motion vectors are mostly representing the position from one pixel to the position of the pixel in the next frame. While red is representing the horizontal, green is representing the vertical motion. Okay, with this knowledge, when we know the motion vector pushing the pixel to this frame, we can then do our motion blur with this vector. But with this knowledge, we know also where the pixel is in the next frame, or in the previous frame, where is it in our frame. So you can quite easily, instead of using your motion vectors with vector blur, maybe using it with an eye distort. So you can distort your pixels back from one frame before and then one frame after. So here we have, although we have a strong parallax, I just could push the pixels from one frame before to one frame after. Like, this is just a script. As this was a plate, I just generated vectors. I just put a normal eye distort, and then doing a time offset of one frame before, one frame after. And this is really nice frame blending scenes like this with a strong parallax. So you can use frame blends, or if you do have to do a paint out, you just get maybe pixel positions where the bike driver is not excluding the background. Like, maybe we have this little airplane going from right to left. So it has quite linear motion blur. Now, suddenly our director comes in and he says, I want an explosion right there. So, and I want a camera shake going to the up. So what we are doing, we're putting maybe a second vector blur on top, and then it looks like this. But it's not really correct. It had to look like this. Okay, it's a little bit too small, the image, so take a look closer. Okay, we see this curve of the light traveling across this bounce to the up. As we have like maybe this additional motion to the top, we can extract our motion with motion blur 2D and motion blur 3D, whether we have normal 2D transform or in camera. Okay, just knowing we can extract this, we can think in samples. Just reducing firstly our motion blur into 3 samples. We can extract maybe the motion half the frame before and half the frame after our main motion blur in the middle. And we can, as it's only representing directions, we can add and subtract these motions. What I just want to show, it's, oh, come on, back. Just click 2 times. So this is a really simple script with only 3 samples. So in the middle, I have my airplane with the rendered velocity. So in the left, I have like this transform node. And via a script, I just getting a half frame before and a half frame after on the right. I'm reading out the motion blur, and then I'm plussing those. So here it's this, and here I'm plussing those. And then I'm doing 3 vector blurs. Like the first one is just half frame before. It's like this upgoing one. In the middle, it's our normal motion, and right, it's the motion in the end of the frame. And also you have like in your vector blur the offset, so you can offset your motion. And the cool thing, if you plus all kind of these together, you just get maybe to something like this. And it's completely only with vector blurs. So yeah, sure, vector blur is only straight. This is kind of fun because you're very flexible in afterwards putting motion in or just getting away from this just linear motion blur. But it's so much work, and art is beautiful, but it's a lot of work. So therefore, just imagine how beautiful our job as compositor is. Smile, have fun, and like some tips is, make your workspace inspire you. At your workspace, you're much longer than even at home. So get some nice stuff in there. Make it a place you can be happy. Make it your happy place. Sometimes we love to hide Easter eggs in our comps. Have you ever thought of putting animals? Like from my experience, directors love animals. If you hide some kind of animals in and the director finds it, it's like, oh my gosh, have I filmed it and it was in there? Down under the stones. Oh, so cute, these lovebirds. Here, Dennis Gansel was so happy as he found them. It was like maybe even some versions after. How long are they in there? Well, after all, from my experience, I really love small projects. Like, you have a big kind of creative and artistic freedom. And I experienced so much happiness from directors. Like, in worshipping, it was like maybe Stefan Haupt from Zwingli. He just came into our office with a pack of beer, talked to the artist and was so happy from his work. Dennis Gansel on The Fourth State, he came into the office and he talked to everyone in a small talk, and even with like the apprentice. So it was really nice from him, and I really love to work with Xavier Koller. And beautiful sentence he once said is, you know, you guys, I will never approve one shot of you because you are the experts and you know when it's final. So, and that was such a big fun working with a director like this. And it's even, I think, Xavier Koller, as being from Switzerland, got more for his Schweizer Frankly than if he wouldn't give us the freedom, if he would push a cloud from left to right, to top to down, but he just gave us the feeling, you're doing it right. So after all, with all my experience and everything, I just want to give one more tip for your career. It's a beautiful sentence by Karl Valentin. Mögen hätte ich schon wollen, aber dürfen habe ich mich nie getraut. Thank you.